of this meeting really should be that staff has the opportunity to present, you guys present agendas that are the agenda items. If they're questions, they will come forward rather than a blanket. Does anybody have any questions about the agenda? So we'll go through that, because you guys the opportunity to present, go through them and just give a brief overview, and if anybody has questions, they'll go through and ask them. The only thing I'll do is I'll break the tradition on the first one. The first one's just the continued resolution for Uptown Landing. Does anybody have any questions on Uptown Landing on these continued resolutions and these two approvals?
Everything, I mean, this was held up before.
Because of timing,
Yeah. It took
everything's the same, no changes, same proposals. The only thing we are waiting on that could not make it in the agenda is a packet from MRB, where they are looking at they are doing their own analysis of the amenities to make sure that the amenity values all jive from what Cook is saying versus what they think they're kind of worth.
Didn't we get them?
I don't know. We didn't get the final.
That's just a draft that you sent out? Or?
Yeah.
I think that the developer gave us one.
We got one from the developer.
But I don't think we got one from them.
We're waiting for one from Eric.
Right? Sure, I saw that.
Maybe I missed it. This last conversation I had, we were waiting. I was talking to Nadler and we were waiting to get that in, and I wasn't gonna make the packet. But anyway, that should be here for us to discuss on Monday to make sure that everything lines up. Good. All right, finance, Jess, you wanna take those? Starting with 250.
Okay, so this is just a resolution to allow John as town manager to be a signature on the bank accounts for the town. 251 is just the normal authorization of budget transfers by town manager. There are attachments showing what the budget transfers were. I don't know if anyone has any questions about the budget transfers. Looks like they're just basically, you know, since we're getting near the end of the year, some of our lines are close or over. So just making those adjustments. Just attachment. John, those attachment links are awesome. Yes, thank you so much for doing that. Let's see, and then 252 is to add John as town manager to our investment accounts as administrator with Night Class and Muni Trust. 253 is actually Jim put this in on his highway machinery contractual line, was running low, and so he's transferring money from the general repairs contractual into the machinery or into the, excuse me, into the machinery contractual line. That's right. I know 254 Jim also put in for I believe these are just allowing him to send out to get these equipment, send them out for bid or whatever, in order to get these vehicles ordered, since the turnaround time takes.
It's everything that's in the budget.
Stuff that's in the budget for next year, but it's to get them ordered.
Yep.
Now. While they're cheaper.
255, it says there's a reimbursement of the water account. I believe Courtney is online in case you had a question about this. It looks like maybe there was an error and overcharge to customer, and this is just a request to pay the customer back.
Yes, that's correct.
I think that's it for me.
Do you wanna do the Parks one?
256. For seekers,
Yeah,
I don't know much about that one.
alright, so 256 allows an on park, it's just a seeker, declaration, the seeker action that we had to take, that's what's kind of put us off. Because that had not been done and it what's put us off from getting started this fall. So we need to do that before we can do proceed with any of the actions in the uplands. So that's a secret resolution to allow us to move forward with the work that we want to do.
Are we gonna have to do, is it called SHPO?
SHPO probably because of the there's this historic significance in the area,
Sure.
so we'll have.
Has that been decided yet, though?
Does that come after, does that, the seeker determine SHPO?
It's usually before.
Okay.
You can apply for SHPO.
Okay,
So.
so we'll talk with MRB because we had talked about doing that. I don't know why they
I know
didn't.
Jim has more information on that whole topic.
Yeah, because we will need to do both. And
Might have.
I'm pretty sure, I mean,
Well, they lived in that area.
they live there, so, yeah,
They have different criteria they look at. I remember we did have to do it on a couple of sites over the years, but not others that would have thought would. But they said, no, you don't have. to."
Yeah, it's, the criteria for it is most basically broken down to if there's any thought that there could be impact, or that you could dig something up, then you've got to send it off to SHPO. Or there no impact or limited impact. So.
so we'll look for more, see what other information Jim has on that, and see if we can proceed with the ship up on that.
I'll tell you, 257, so 257 is the agreement that was previously in place. For the special districts that basically sets that the 60% of the O and M goes to the candidate consolidated and the 40% stays within the special district. It had expired at the end of 2023, so it hasn't been in place. So I just renewed that agreement to make sure it's in place for 2025 for the next 5 years. And then, if at any point that ratio needs to be changed or determined by the board needs to be changed, then we would just do an amendment. But I thought it was better just to get 5 years in, and then separately, I know we've had discussions about the 50 cents O&M rate for those specific special districts. And not really knowing how that came about or where it came from, and the only place it exists is on the budget draft worksheets. So I thought it was a good idea just to have the board set that rate so that there's something that works in conjunction with that agreement. So we have the agreement that says 60% of the O&M rate goes here, 40% goes here, but we had nothing that actually said what that O&M rate was. So because it's been historically 50 cents, it's left it by resolutions 50 cents. Jim says that's great. And now it's in resolution perpetually unless the board decides to change it, then we just do another resolution changing that O&M rate. And then this way it's not connected with the agreement. So if you change it, then you have to change the agreement. It was best to keep them as two separate pieces that still kind of work together. So if you change one, you don't have to change both. So that's all those are.
So essentially then, of the 50 cents, 30 cents would stay, 30 cents
Per thousand will stay,
in
With-
that special district
Well,
and
go to candidate
Candidate
consolidated,
consolidated,
20
20
cents per
cents.
thousand stays within that district.
Okay,
Which is what the agreement has always read. There just was nothing that said what that actual O&M rate was, other than the worksheets that nobody else really sees, so.
and then, so then the only variable would be whatever the debt service is for that, so that would make up the other part of their tax rate, right?
Yes, the actual tax rate is made up by other parts as well,
Okay.
so that's not the tax rate, that's just the operation and maintenance rate for that certain district.
Any other questions on those? It just makes life easier. Thank you for doing that. Murph, you want to talk about 259 through 63, really?
Yeah, you're good. So 259 is the setting of a public hearing for text code amendment. This is reducing the minimum square footage from 1,100 down to 720. Sarah did also include a second red line, which is removing the minimum square footage entirely. Reason for that was that there's really either lowering it or eliminating it. This way staff covered all the bases, no matter what gets decided at the town board meeting. So wanted to just provide those. But currently the one is 720. Okay. Chris Nadler does have that, so he should have his review finished by that time.
Okay, everybody's comment.
260, that's the easements for Creekview Phase 2.
Let's go back to 259 just for a second.
No problem.
I'm gonna argue pretty adamantly that it should be 0. And that there should be no restriction on that, so just give you the heads up. I do have an article that I received that talks about how many communities across the country are implementing standards that allow small home construction. And many people are building these small homes to be very attractive, very nice, and a real benefit to the community. So I just give you a heads up, I'm gonna argue pretty adamantly and strongly that I think it ought to be 0.
Can you share any of that?
I can distribute the
Cause that might help. in some
article
of
that I
our-
have about that. Yeah.
in some of
I'll
our
send it to all the
decision
board
makers.
members.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Does it include manufactured homes?
So this went down to 720 to match up with manufactured homes. Do we have exclusions for
It's all one
manufactured?
same,
It's-
doesn't matter.
we're-
So they can be any,
Because we
any
can't-
zone except
I
the
don't know if we
RLD.
can discriminate anymore on those, can we? Manufactured versus
That's
stick built?
which,
I'm gonna choose my words very carefully. You can't discriminate. You never could discriminate.
Well,
But you can set up. local zoning
differentiate.
To differentiate.
There you go, differentiate between the two. Is that a better word?
Because of this, staff did remove the requirement for a double wide and dropped it down to a single wide anywhere
Okay.
within the town. That way it was uniform.
Okay.
So that we didn't have an issue.
Okay.
It was really between legal and staff
Okay.
to say, just make it straight across the board. So we dropped it down to 720 and we removed the requirement for double wides.
Okay.
Still have the one for permanent foundations, but that's.
so is that gonna be, are there gonna be special districts coming up for that?
No.
It's across the board,
It's-
anywhere within the town, you can have a single line manufacturer.
Gotcha.
Anywhere in town can have a single line?
Whereas
Except
right
the
now, you
RLD.
have to have it.
Oh.
Except the RLD was excluded.
Still. RLDs.
So, yeah, and I think the discussion will be good. To look at that and see, I mean, the impact, we talk about the, the more you think about it, talk about the affordable homes, affordable housing. And a lot of our regulations restrict that. A lot of our things, from the state that hands them to us or things that we create, we can put obstacles in the way to that. And we see that more and more. Okay, so
Anyone
yeah,
else on-
you good? Everybody good with that one?
Yep.
All right.
And I just sent you the article.
Alright.
Dumpster.
It's not the same one, there's two of
Did you
them.
just give a mention?
No, that's the one I have the remote for.
So so after this meeting, we're gonna be getting some red tags from Mike Murphy.
I run over the highway there in the truck.
And implement a red tag, yeah,
Sure that.
system for
No,
the town hall.
We're gonna hide that, that's strategically placed in every town board meeting.
Only people over 7 feet tall can use this chair, okay.
All right,
We're 260 is the accepting of easements related to Creekview Phase 2. This is just for drainage and water main.
Okay, I have questions about these easements. In some cases, the easements, in the past, we have charged back the cost of the easements filing at the county to, sometimes to the property owner and sometimes not. So I really would need clarification on these as to whether they would be charged back to the property owner. And it could be on an individual basis. It's just something I'd like to know ahead of time.
I believe we do for them all across the board.
mean-
To the best of my knowledge, I've seen.
So that's something that probably get added into the actual resolution of the resolve part of the final resolve part of what action you need to take.
Need to take,
with
right.
that, whether it should be said in the resolution that it's being charged back to
Right.
them or town.
Yeah, it says, you know, to be it finally resolved, the town clerk shall file these easements at the county clerk's office, and then, right, and there should probably be something added about cost of easements to be
Yeah,
charged to,
finance clerk is authorized to make any
yeah.
budgetary changes to charge back to so and so.
Can we add those? Or just bring those statements so we can add those statements?
Yeah.
To those, or just send us the statement and then we can make a
Well, we won't
motion.
have the statement at the time of the resolution because this directs the town clerk to file it.
Right,
So we just need something saying that the
Okay.
cost of the filing of the easements would be charged back to the property
We're
owner.
actually already covered in the property owner sign off. There is a statement in there that covers us across the board for anything
Okay.
with filings.
Alright.
So I don't know if we actually need anything then, because that already covers us.
Actually on the application.
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
but to have
well,
it on the, have it
it
on
just
the,
says,
to have it in the resolution would probably be easier than don't have to dig in the
I think in the
application.
application, does it say easements or does it just say that we can charge back consultant fees?
Any fees and charges incurred by the town of Kennebec. It's a
Okay.
pretty blank
Okay.
statement.
So I actually, after, so I did something similar to the surety payment, where in the final resolve that then directs what the finance clerk's actions are from the action of that resolution. I think it probably do it the same way where it'd just be a simple extra line, I'd give you the language. Cause the resolution should have that, should basically be telling the people who need to do something from that resolution what they then.
I'm the one that writes the resolutions for the
Okay.
easements and the,
Oh, okay, so
So-
yeah, and we talked about the surety one, so we could, but I think it would be you, I guess, who knows
yes.
who's going back to.
Yeah.
So we have two separate lines for whether it's being charged back to whoever. Just add that on, just to make it a more complete
And then
resolution.
obviously a copy of this would need to go to. blah, 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 blah.
So do you want those motions added
That would
to
be
this
great.
resolution? Okay,
And I can type it up and. Want to do it on the floor or do you want to?
what would be?
I mean,
Either way,
do them,
it could be
these
going
ones just
forward.
going forward, I think
Yeah.
it might be better, cause this packet was.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, we
I
can
don't
do,
wanna
going
throw it out.
forward, going forward
Yeah.
then.
So.
Harley, I know from this meeting that this will be charged back.
I don't wanna-
Yeah.
I don't wanna throw any curveballs back at the creation of this agenda, 'cause,
Sure.
you might not see me after this afternoon.
Going forward is fine.
Alright,
I mean, cause it's been, obviously, they've been again done that way in the past, but, you know, I'm just trying to go through them and just, you know, from my work with resolutions, kind of just making sure, you know, that we clean them up a little bit and making them more concise and then showing the, that exact resolve language on what actions each person there has to take.
Alright,
And
we're
it's at
good.
260. Alright, 261 is acceptance of two sureties, 5200 Foster Road and 3485 Lakeview Lane. Foster Road is the one that I'll kind of go into a little bit of detail on. That's the new Gerber 5 residential structures. They're going up right across from Notre Dame area. So just in case you hear anything about that one. Any questions? Alright. 262 Creekview Phase 1 acceptance and dedication of the roadway and the infrastructure for the water main, storm sewer and sidewalks with Phase 1. Same thing, town clerk to file necessary documents down the county. So this would be the same one as 260.
And
So this is you would file the road dedication.
Mhm. But that doesn't get charged back, does it?
That might be one, because it's on us,
Right,
You know what I'm
because
saying? It's
we're getting it.
yeah, we're accepting. So,
and it includes the phase one sidewalks,
phase one sidewalks, not phase two.
but the phase one, that's been our bane of our existence
No.
for a while.
That's part of phase two.
Yeah, that's phase two. Phase one is, so Woodland Park Circle is the main route.
Yeah,
We're accepting the sidewalks along that. Phase two is the discussion we'll have. They're working on that, but we won't see them completed by year end.
okay,
So this raises a question for me. And that question being, those sidewalks are gonna have to be maintained.
the phase two sidewalks, the longer, so the internal ones, they maintain, the internal. They take care of those, but here's the phase two along County Road 10, when they're in, yes.
So then, how does that? How do you differentiate the bid from that particular
Mhm.
sidewalk? And we don't have to answer that now.
Right,
but
no, it's a thought.
I think
It's-
there's a map, isn't there?
The first thought that popped in my mind when I hear that, right?
Right, because we're requiring them to build, the sidewalks aren't in front of any residential.
Right.
They're in front of those, the wooded areas and a couple businesses.
Yeah, phase two runs from Woodland Park Circle south entrance all the way down to 529.
Yeah.
We're all the way down to.
And then you get the same situation with the uptown development, right?
Mhm.
We're adding sidewalks along public areas, so. My question is, you know, how is that in harmony or in disagreement with what we're doing
With
with?
charging the bid for
Yeah.
sidewalk maintenance, yeah.
Yeah. And we don't have to answer again.
Yeah.
Don't have to answer it today.
No, that's definitely something to consider, because those are, we're not typically in that. The Stone Trail, the trail on Middle Cheshire Road, that doesn't get plowed, does it, cleaned up in the winter time, because it's a trail. But sidewalks are a different story.
Seemed to me that the sidewalk, like Creekview, the reason it's being put in is because of the,
Right,
seems to me it should fall to that organization to clear that sidewalk in the winter.
all the way to 5 and
All the way
20
to 5 and 20, because we wouldn't have that sidewalk if it weren't for
for them.
those apartment complexes being, you know, built. So, I mean, if they're gonna have some way to clean the sidewalks in for internal circulation, and same piece of equipment, maybe we could.
No, I get that, and I totally get what you're saying, John, with that, with creating the
Based on our
disparity,
conversation
yeah,
we had the other day.
creating the disparity between the two is something we want to avoid
Mhm.
and really look at, okay,
You
Because
don't
there is,
want to have anyone come back at us and say, well,
exactly.
you didn't do it here, but you did it over here.
there is no organization like the bid that's been proposed for Uptown for Creekview. There's no HOA, it's not. So who is it the contract for cleaning sidewalks internally?
Probably the management company that manages it,
Okay, so it should fall to them to do.
if we have it, I'm sure. And if, we'd have to see if it's in writing or part of continued discussion,
Yeah. I would be
because if we don't have it,
surprised if it's in writing.
because if you don't have it, they're not gonna offer. Unless we have something to require it.
Looking through the history of the sidewalks for phase two, all the way down to 5 and 20, looked almost like an afterthought at the very end of the project of, oh wait, hey, let's get this. So it was, there's very little documentation up until the last sidewalks.
So after that, point, I think it was.
Isn't
Why it
there a-
got tucked into that phase two is a bit of a mystery, yeah, but should have been part of phase one, at least that portion of it, and then add on for
Yeah.
phase two perhaps, but I don't know, you'd have to talk to Chuck,
Yeah.
maybe those guys would know, you know, but how that all evolved. But,
Yeah.
Just to bring everybody up to speed with what I'm referring to. Jared and I had a conversation the other day about the bid and the money that's still left in the bid. And I asked the question, what were you thinking about doing with that? And I guess the gist of that conversation was, well, we're gonna use that money in the bid for plowing sidewalks and doing maintenance and that type of thing. So when we talk about additional side, and then it was added that the only place we have sidewalks in the community is really uptown. So now if we go and we add additional sidewalks in other locations such as Creekside and such as the uptown development that Cook and Chris are doing, we're gonna be adding additional sidewalks along public right of ways. So my concern is I don't wanna have some people saying, well, the bids. I mean, I don't wanna have the bid people saying, well, these other people aren't paying for maintenance of the sidewalks, but we are. And I just don't wanna have that disparity, and that's why I'm bringing it up now, so we have a chance to think about it and address it before.
Who's gonna plow North Road?
Good question.
Mhm.
To that, I mean, that falls in the same bucket, right?
We're creating,
Right, are we creating something?
we're creating,
Well, sidewalk district would have to be the answer there, but then it falls to the individual homeowner. There's a sidewalk in front of their home. So
They do that in the city.
that would be that would have.
That's
That would be a mandate that we would have to put on the homeowners.
Or the business owner.
The business owners or the homeowners, that they're responsible for keeping the sidewalk clear, which could help, it helps there. It doesn't help in front of the wooded area. I don't know who owns all that wooded area, or if he does. All the way down to
In front of those barns and
Halberd
stuff,
storage.
Barns or
Somebody
some
else.
spot, yeah, they're home, but they're not.
So
Isn't there a sidewalk from 5 and 20 to about Aldi's, where you turn into Aldi's there? Isn't there a current existing sidewalk there? I think there is.
There is,
And that was
yeah.
from, I believe, Auto Wash.
Right, right, yeah,
That was part of the plan, site plan approval for Auto Wash.
no one's clear on that, right?
Right. It's just, John brings up a good point, that it's something we gotta look at and figure it out. We've got some time, but we're now that we're getting into the sidewalk business more and more.
Gotta get a policy for sure.
We've gotta figure out how we're gonna take care of these sidewalks that we're creating.
phase two has all the approvals,
Phase 2 is underway.
so you don't have the opportunity to make that a condition of approval at this point. So
No, unfortunately not.
it's boat sale.
Yeah.
But there should be a discussion with them that whoever is managing the internal
Someone's plowing that lot,
maintenance,
yeah.
they need to. You can bluff them, you can say, look, you guys gotta do it.
That's how we're getting the sidewalks done this year.
Keep at it. All right. I think you want to do 63 too, the mitigation plan, since you have any,
Oh,
do you have any info
I don't
on
know
that?
what's in it, so.
Okay, so, you guys received a copy of the mitigation plan, all 700 and some pages of its glory. I tried to direct you into some of the pages specific to the town. Basically, the county has to adopt the plan. The county adopted the plan, and then it allows us to piggyback on that. So if we say, yes, we approve the county mitigation plan, then we're covered as well by FEMA and any of the other agencies that require that to happen. There's nothing really that we need to do. It just identifies structures and things that we would like to see. Improvements that we would like to see. Things like, one of the things in there that came up was the RG&E transfer station, the power station that's in a floodplain. To actually try to improve that or raise that somehow, things like that are in that plan, those target areas. If you haven't taken a look at it, the specific pages to the town are about maybe 15 pages. So there's not a whole lot in specific relation to the town, but just take a look, and that's really what we're adopting for ourselves. Because it's already been adopted, the county already adopts it, and then we just adopt our own. We say, yeah, we like our portions, and we'll just jump in.
Then I think it's written up right now so that we don't have to, if they make any amendments within the 5-year period of, that we don't have to do any additional resolutions.
Correct.
Well, then, once they do their 5-year update, that's required, then we'll have to readopt their 5-year update.
It's supposed to, I think the last update was in 2016.
Yeah, I don't think they follow quite follow the fund.
Yeah, so, but it's supposed to be on a 5-year cycle.
And it's important, just to piggyback off that, that we do stay with the 5-year cycle. Even if it's outside of the county, because if we don't and we go past, it ties our hands as far as grant funding from FEMA. Most of them is brick. You're not gonna get any grant funding if you don't have a currently adopted and approved hazard mitigation plan within that 5-year period, so it's tough.
I guess I'll jump on 264. Any questions on North Road sidewalks, North Road reconstruction?
Go to blow.
Who's gonna know that quick? No, you're not allowed to ask that question. No, so I'm gonna strike that from the record.
Okay.
So we'll see what kind of discussion where that goes, but there'll be some interest, some good discussion on that publicly, I'm sure. 265, stormwater, I'll just take that, John assigned the stormwater control facilities management standard procedure for Creekview. 266, I'm meeting with them to try to get some advertisement on the billboards that we have, but routes across America. That's happening again, that was a great event, I encourage anybody to attend if you can. Especially when it's on a nice sunny day, a little bit brisk, it's nice to get out there and do that. 267. We've asked them to go forward with the rebid process for the town hall renovation.
Yeah, so I don't know, I can't remember if we brought it up to everybody else,
No.
but there was no, you can't use any of the bids that came in because they all exceeded the New York State, the WICS or something.
Wicks law.
Law of over $500,000. State basically requires projects to be less than 500,000. And our lowest bidder, when taking all of the options out, was still at like $504,000. And
Who's the low bidder?
was that?
Who is the low bidder?
I don't remember.
I got it here, I'll find it.
So my follow-up question is there a provision for us to negotiate?
No, because the bid is, so you can negotiate with the low bidder unless you accept the bid, which we can't do because the law says we can't. Because it was over $500,000.
Right.
So, now were there thoughts of ways to kind of get it down by taking, Chris Nadler had some ideas. It was not recommended by MRB because it kind of like walks that line, legality, and it also would mean that we're basically taking away every option that we had in there, which we want to pretty much get everything done that we want to be done, so we're not piecemealing it over the next several years. So now it has to be rebid as 4 separate contracts. And for MRB to do that, it is going to cost about $14,000 to rework all the plans and separate those out. Based on the resolution to accept their contract for this purpose, I didn't see there was nothing in there that tied a dollar amount to it, so I didn't see any need to bring another resolution to approve that extra funding that could be authorized by the supervisor based on that through this resolution, but we do need to, because the last bid had the specific date of the bid opening, we need the resolution to rebid. In that resolution, I made a general so that we're flexible with the date. You don't have to come back every time you want to change the date to the bid or anything. So it's just stating that you have to rebid. When we come up with the date, it'll be advertised by the town clerk.
So, in my prior history, dealing with issues such as this, usually they were of much larger nature, but we would go back to the low bidder and ask him for some VE ideas, value engineering ideas, to try to reduce costs. And it sounds like this $500,000 threshold would be easily achieved with that type of process. FYI, that's all that is.
Can you do that?
Can we
though?
do that? with-
So what you would do is you not, you can't enter into a contract because
No,
we're in
no, I mean-
510, but you can go back to the low bidder and ask him for ideas that would help reduce the overall cost of the project and then incorporate that into the revised bidding document.
So that's my question, can you talk to
Yes,
the
yes.
low bidder
So the,
and the
and
New York State rule? I
Yes.
mean, you're talking private industry.
No, I'm talking about public bids.
and so the low
We do that all
bidder,
the time.
without all the options was Iverson. But the low bidder when, throwing everything in there was, this tactical construction. So. Yeah, we'll discuss that with MRE right now, we're just have to give them the approval to start the rebid process. And which then requires them to redraft everything, and then we'll discuss those things with them as far as, you know, how do we try to save costs, because this will end up costing more now, right away,
10%
when
easily.
you break it up into the 4 different contracts. So,
What was the range of bids, Jim?
the highest was 770,000, and the lowest was 630,000.
So-
And
So the good news is the bids fit within our budget for doing all the things that we wanted to do.
Yeah, we had one, something.
We're at 750,
750, I
yeah.
think.
So they fit within that of the thing of our list of improvements that we wanted to make.
yeah, we had a
So they
7,
came in there, but they did not fit. So now
That
that's,
pesky state again.
that 630 is gonna go up to 700 and the 700 is gonna go up to 800.
we had Thompson Builds at 770. American Enterprise at 764. Then the next lowest was Whitney East Incorporated, 698.5. Taylor Builders, 647, Iverson, 643.5, Tactical, 630 and change.
Were the options that, I mean, Iverson was low, but they went to 504 by taking out various options.
Yeah, it was like every option, like bathroom,
Bathroom, stairs.
Somewhere,
painting, all those things.
how important are those options to having a town hall that is the way that we would really like to have?
So I think it's important to, because all those things were identified as needing something done to them. So I think it's important to kind of try to stick with that, because then, you know, so we do this renovation, sure, we'll have like a shell of, you know, where we're meeting and such, but then, you know, the auxiliary parts of the building are gonna be, you know, we're gonna be looking at them again in a couple of years from now, or 3 years, so, you know, it's, if we have to go to rebid anyway, because you know, we're pretty much stuck there. Nadler didn't see any way around rebidding, other than, like I said, he had some options, but it was like walking that fine line that we probably don't wanna walk.
So you avoid what's called by breaking it up in pieces.
That was the thought, kind of.
Yeah,
The unofficial thought was that, okay, we do it and then maybe we come back and we tackle the bathrooms as a separate contract.
Mhm.
We tackle the stairs as a separate contract, because each of those added, the stairs was 50, the bathrooms were pretty close to that. So then by doing those as separate additional contracts with other people, then they'd still get done.
Yeah.
What is it
The
that
problem
one
was-
says, 500,000 is
So
to go above that, what has to, I mean,
so in order to go above $500,000, you gotta split up your bids.
oh, okay,
So
that's-
So it's split up between general construction, electrical, HVAC, and maybe plumbing, I forget what it was, but so now we have to bid out each one of those separate, so this is what we need done in the electrical for the building, this is what we need done HVAC, and now all the companies will bid on those separate ones, so then basically we have to choose 4 separate contractors, or whoever the little bidder is, for each one.
they can add up to more than 500 grand because each one was.
Yeah,
Except
so
we're gonna add-
it's the state costing their towns more money because they have some ridiculous number that they think we can do a reconstruction project
Yeah.
with.
And it's gonna
So-
cost us 14,000 more.
$14,000 more to redo.
Engineer.
Just in,
Just to,
engineer, right.
just for the permission to do it, and probably another 10% or more. Because now you're adding, instead of one GC, you're adding 4 subs. And it, for those of you who have been dying to know, the law goes back to New York, in the 40s with New York City and housing, building public housing in New York City. To try to avoid the corrupt things that were going on. But in the Bronx, their threshold is 3 million, Bronx, Kings and Queens, Nassau County and Suffolk, it's 1.5 million. Everywhere else in New York, it's
Oh, well, yeah, because,
it's
you know,
0.5 million.
the rest of New York is just Podunk.
Yeah, so you get off Long Island,
500,000.
yeah, you leave the New York City vicinity,
I wonder-
Could
And,
use our paper and pallets. and
it's
stuff.
500,000.
Speaking of from a Long Islander, everything north of the island is upstate, so it's all one.
It's,
Nothing different, right?
It's okay, we think of all of you guys down there.
Yeah.
That's the
It's
thing,
a
right?
city.
Well, right.
But it's expensive
that's
and
the-
it's frustrating.
I will bring up at this point that, you know, with the current bills that are getting paid and whatever, our engineering line is already gonna be over, so. So we'll have to find some money.
We'll have to do an adjustment.
Yeah.
Well, this should come out of,
This should come out of the project budget.
Oh, the project budget, that's
Yeah.
true, okay.
This will come out of the capital, the capital
Well,
budget.
less to spend on construction then.
Is, a quick question on the project now, is MRB gonna GC project manage everything?
well, I mean, I guess that could be a
They
choice,
do
but I think
construction administration.
what we were talking about, when we were during the bid opening, there was somewhat of a discussion about that, of who's gonna, go around. Jim did not want to have to deal with it.
That's what we've
Which-
done on the other big projects, the booster pump and the tanks on the home in Cheshire, and the highway garage. They were the contract administrator and they had periodic meetings with all the subs. to Make sure everything was on track and meeting the
Yeah.
goals that we had outlined, so.
So I think Jim asked that question in there, and I can't remember what the response was, but I imagine it
Yeah.
would be an additional cost. but
Yeah.
Oh, it would be, yeah.
Yeah,
Were you volunteering?
No, not at all.
I just
I
wondering.
think I
It's
heard
really
you.
tough to GC from a one-room schoolhouse. Saying.
Okay, Mr. 1800. Put some more wood in your chunk stove and keep that place up.
That place
Is
is
a
nice
chimney
now.
and fireplace.
so even though this resolution's on for Monday, MRB was asking today if they can start the process for rebidding so that they can try to get it, the big date for November 7th, I think it was.
Yeah.
So if that's. the
We gave them a go,
permission, I
yeah.
would say, let's at least give them, say, yeah, go ahead and start the process.
Yeah.
But once the we can't obviously rebid until the resolution is passed, but I think it's okay to start the process if everybody's in agreement. with it.
Yeah, we need to, and I had said, because the initial question was if we needed to wait for everybody to chime in. I did say I had no problem going ahead doing it, I put that in writing to them, I think we've got to do it, we have no choice.
There's no choice, I mean, it's.
So we'll expedite, so yeah, so
Yeah.
we're good, roll it forward, figure it out.
Well,
Get it,
You got 3 people.
we have 4 days over there.
4.
You don't even count me.
Keep it. So you got half the vote, but you came in late.
So
4, I'm sorry.
is there anybody opposed to just getting them moving as fast as they can? All right, good. So we're moving. I hope I gave everybody enough time to say no.
Maybe wear a name tag next time.
Oh, we don't have our placards up.
Yeah, that's the problem. Lindsay, you wanna do this? You wanna do, you've got the next, what, 4?
Are we on 260?
268,
Right.
or 71.
Okay, so for 268, I am proposing some changes to our handbook. After review, some of our policies are not equitable for all staff, especially our part-time employees. So I've done a lot of research. I've met with our part-time employees. I've reached out to other municipal HRs, and I am proposing what I think is the most equitable solution when it comes to time off benefits. There's no financial impact to the town because we budget the same. So there will be something in our policies that states that that part-time employee cannot exceed their normal average hours, therefore reducing, any potential overspending in the accounts, but it's more equitable for part-time employees to receive similar time off as full-time employees, just at their hourly / weekly average hours that they work. So that would include floating holidays, holiday pay. That was a big one, for the days that our building is closed. Our part-time employees would have to move their schedules around to make up that time, and that's, in my opinion, and the opinion of part-time employees, that's not fair. It's not their fault that we're closed. They don't get paid for that day. They have to rearrange their entire schedules around, so that was a really big one in there for that. But also the accrual of sick time, along with personal time as well. So like I said, I've done a lot of research on this, partnered with quite a few different people on this, and this is the most equitable for the town and the staff, which I think everyone would be really happy with, so.
This is people who work 20 or more hours.
Yep, the 20 or more hours. Does anyone have questions on that piece?
I do have I have an email that I'll share at the board meeting from just a staff member speaking out in support of it. I didn't put it in this because it, talks about being sick.
There's some
and other
personal
some
information
personal
there.
things, so I'll give that to you guys. You can it's a short email. It just kind of gives perspective of
A part-time
where people are
employee
coming
who, honestly, they're just as qualified as our full-time employees. They work just as hard. Their hours are just less.
Yep.
than that.
Any other questions? No.
Okay, moving on to 269, so establishing a work from home policy. This is something that, when John came in, he realized we didn't have a policy on this, and with, COVID and everything, we do need to have some type of parameters, so, that policy basically just, says,
Yeah, it's for, because, obviously, we're allowing some work from home, where we wanna allow for people, especially with the building renovation going on. It was important to get this in place sooner than later, because we're gonna be allowing people to be able to work from home, so they have a place, and then, if, somebody is sick, they're able to work, but we really don't want them coming in, getting everybody else sick, and they have the ability to work from home, we wanna be able to accommodate that. So this policy basically just accounts for people who are scheduled, so who have a schedule of working from home. Somebody who may be sick and is good enough to work, but not come in, work from home, some emergency situations, daycare stuff, issues, things like that, so. And it just identifies their responsibilities when they're working from home, because it's always my opinion, and those who have spoken to know this, work from home, that if you're at home, you should be able to do the full function of your duties, as if you were in the office. So if somebody calls or emails, they should have no idea that you're actually home working, because you should be just as responsive. So this policy kind of addresses all that, to allow that flexibility, but also ensure we're being productive, just as if we were in the office.
Does this require extra equipment or computers so people can, access the system here?
So I think most of that's already, most is set up. There's some things that gotta be tweaked, but that's just simple standard IT issues. But it's, as far as I know, it was already set up prior to me coming with people.
Well, we did a lot of that
During COVID,
Yeah.
people were able to log in and do that.
yeah, we get a monitor to
Yeah.
take home.
Have VPN set up.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's at your discretion, John, when that ends, because we don't want everyone to work from home,
Correct.
right?
So, yeah, between Lindsay and I, we make, we'll evaluate,
Right.
determine if the duties are able to work from home. Like, obviously, you can't have a maintenance worker work from home. So, so we'll make that evaluation on whether the duties can be performed remotely, and
Or case by case
and
basis.
it's a case by case, it's not, set in stone. I wrote it in a way so that it's not an expectation, but more of a privilege to do so based on our discretion and your performance.
I think that's good, particularly now after COVID. There have been a lot of articles and a lot of studies that show that working from home is not as effective as working from an office. And you don't get the same level of productivity, so I would just throw that out there for consideration.
I would like to be the exception rather than the rule as well. I mean, just as
Yeah.
a function of the town and interacting with people that you interact with.
Yep, absolutely, and that's, again, that's why it's written, if you read through it, it's written in such a way where it's a privilege to be able to do so, it's not.
Not a standard.
Yeah, it's not a
Right.
standard, it's not that, well, there's a policy, so I should be able to work from home. It's, well, let's evaluate whether you can, what your performance is, and then it's, when you are working from home, we're gonna be monitoring to make sure that that performance stays just as if you were in the office.
It's more like if you need to, here are
Correct,
the
here are the
things,
rules.
here are the things that are expected, if it needs to happen.
And with the renovations, it's probably gonna be to everyone's advantage.
Over the next-
Exactly. And that was particularly why we need to get it in place sooner, like, because of that reason, but then also the other things, because, and people typically, I think, what I've found, because we even had it at the county, and people typically know whether they can be productive at home or not, and I think the staff here, is upfront with what their abilities are at home, and whether, some people work better. I mean, there are times, I can probably get a lot more done if I stay home, because I got, don't have 50 people at my door bothering me all day, and, so. Not here, this was my past job.
He was quick to put that footnote in.
Yeah, so,
Only 15 people here.
Yeah.
but there certainly are pros and cons, but again, Joe, that's why I wanted to, I'm well aware of those pros and cons, because again, there are also people in the county where I'm like, I need this from you, I can't wait till you're in the office, you should be able to get it to me now, because you're still on the clock. And so that's why I wanted to make sure it was written that way to where and again, I've had the discussion with staff as well. If you're gonna be working from home, the expectation is you're doing your full job and abilities from there and working your full hours. Unless you need to take vacation days or whatever it might be, some vacation time.
And it's also not set up, so like if you are sick, it doesn't mean you have to be available to work from home.
Correct.
It's also written in there as well,
Take
just
a-
so staff is aware. It doesn't mean, just because we have the capability, you're not required if you are sick.
If you're sick enough,
You can use your sick
that-
time and that's
yeah, use
okay.
sick time, then, and if you're not gonna be effective, if you're sick, then you're not working, taking your sick time.
Which, thank you, John, for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is 270, opting into paid family leave. I do want to touch base on this. I've spent months actually researching what would be the best policy to create or present to the board that would benefit our staff as far as, it started out looking into maternity leave, since the town does not have a great maternity leave policy outside of FMLA and the standard short-term disability leave, which is just that 6 to 8 weeks at a certain percentage of pay. And as I think everyone here knows, New York State does have some great programs for paid family leave. And as I was trying to create, could the town implement this or implement that? I'm like, why am I trying to reinvent the wheel when there is already something out there that not just covers maternity leave, but it's paid parental leave. It also gives leave for taking care of somebody else, basically like a family member, and military as well. And this has no cost to the town, whereas some other things I was trying to propose may have had some cost to taxpayers. So this program would be the New York State paid family leave that we would be opting into. It is staff funded through payroll deductions, and their nominal payroll deductions. It's at a percentage of their biweekly pay, which is at 0.388%, and it caps out at $324 a year. So an employee would never exceed that amount. I did talk to our staff here over on the town hall side, so the non-union employees, and everyone was in favor of proceeding with opting into it. As a municipality, we aren't required to opt in, which is why the town never did. It was never even a conversation that was brought up based on my research. For why, just asking the questions, like, why are we not in it? Is there some disadvantage? I reached out to other municipalities as well to find out, why don't we opt in, or why don't you opt in? And it really came down to the fact that it's optional. So based on the support that I have from our staff and the benefits of, again, just creating that well-being, promoting healthy work-life balance during really difficult times for people, also good times, you know, having a baby is always great, good stuff. But you know, sometimes when you have to take care of a sick family member, that puts a burden on a staff member outside of work, and then they're not performing well at work, or they have to leave the company. Because of that, this allows that time for employees to take care of those matters and still continue to be productive in the workplace. So I am proposing that we are able to execute this and opt into paid family leave. And it's something I do feel very strongly about.
Is this something that if an individual employee doesn't want to be in, they can?
It is a requirement, it would be required for every full-time employee. There are certain circumstances that an employee can opt out. That's if they work less than 20 hours a week, they can opt out of that. Or if they're not going to, or a seasonal employee who, you know, they can work 32 hours, but don't get the full 175 days within the year. We would have to do negotiations with the union on this, so that would be a separate process, but this would allow us to go through that process with them.
How about communities around here, do they?
It's required by New York State that they have to.
Public employees.
Oh, public
I
employees?
mean, private employees have to do it,
Private
right?
employees, yes, that is required. Public, a lot do not.
Well,
But Terry, I think it's $12 every paycheck, something like that. It's a
At
very
most,
nice cheap
at
pay,
most.
right? So it's very nominal, and then you're limited in the amount of time you can take off as well.
Correct, it's 12 weeks. And that can be used within that year of that event, so it's not like consecutively 12 weeks taken off. So some of the benefits of that is, we'll just use a sick family member. You know, maybe they have to go for cancer treatments. You can take that 1 or 2 days off, your job protected. It's not at your full rate of pay. It is at the 67%, and that does cap out. The employees then can use their additional time off to supplement, never to exceed what their normal pay is, but it allows them to, you know, not have to go unpaid. They are job protected. And it does coincide with FMLA as well, so it's not like someone can take advantage of it and take, you know, 6 months off or something.
It's a nice benefit that costs us nothing.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
essentially what it is, right?
you know, it's one of those things that with competition for people,
Right.
it's good to have some.
Paid family leave is a good thing to have.
Right, and it's not just, you know, it's not just, like I said, a maternity leave policy, this is a parental leave policy, it's also a policy to care for a loved one and still get that financial benefit, and that goes all through like our short-term disability insurance company, so again, the town pays nothing.
Yep, great.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
That's been many months in the.
Oh my gosh, so many months.
And I think even
Yeah.
more importantly is the staff support, even if there's people who think, oh, I'll never probably use it, I think there's still support for opting into it for those people who may end up using it, so.
Good to have you back backing.
Yeah.
Well, you never know, and
You never know.
No, you don't.
And I feel like especially now, as you talk to more and more people and just the state of the world that we live in with things being so expensive, like having that financial burden is not a good thing, and we want to take care of our staff where we can. The next one is amending the town of Canandaigua leave policy related to cancer screening. This is just to get us up to date with our civil service laws. There was a change in 2018 and our handbook did not follow that change. We've obviously been complying with the law. This is just allowing our staff to go for cancer screenings, not just prostate or breast cancer. So it's just updating verbiage. That's all this one is.
Question about this,
Yes,
is a colonoscopy a cancer screen?
yes.
Yes. And why would we limit it to just cancer screens?
It's the New York State Civil Service law.
Well,
To
I
comply
understand
with
that,
that.
so we're equaling that, but there are other types of screenings that I think are medical emergencies also, besides just cancer. Worth considering. or
Absolutely.
thinking about.
I mean, listen, John, I am happy to
Yeah.
include
Do you have
any
any
types of
ideas? I
medical
mean, what-
screenings in there.
I mean, I think maybe some language that if it's a medical emergency type of screening, then.
That's all.
So, yeah, so that would be additional to this 4 hours. So this time off is by law strictly for those specific, those cancer screenings. So anything that we would then offer additionally would be in addition to that 4 hours.
And that's what I'm saying, that there are other medical types of emergency screenings that, you know, people have no choice but to miss time, right, and go get something taken care of. Just
I think
for
if we
consideration.
I think if we can come up with a list of some of those ideas.
We also have we also have our sick time where a person would be job protected in that way. But I like the way you're thinking for that to encompass more.
Can we?
Well, that might fall under family leave, paid family leave as well, if it was if something progressed beyond.
Yeah, paid family leave does not cover your own illness, though. It's
I
only
think it does.
not for paid family leave, for
So if you
for
had a-
FMLA it does.
So, for what?
FMLA,
What's that?
so that is the, yeah, it's the non-paid medical
Family
leave act,
medical leave.
yeah.
Well, I had my knees replaced and I got put out on paid family leave from New York State, so, and it was so I think,
But did you collect,
yeah,
it wasn't just disability?
no, paid family leave.
Interesting, everything I have read says that it is specific that it's not for
It's
your
a
own.
serious, but it says a serious health condition.
Right, which falls under FMLA.
Oh, I'm sorry for a family member. I just know
Oh, it's
that for
okay,
me,
yeah.
no, I know for me, that was paid family leave or, yeah.
Some type of.
Yeah,
Okay,
two different needs.
two different
Two
needs.
different needs.
My
Two
dad's
different
actually going
times.
for his knee replacement as we speak. Fingers crossed.
Is there, I think that's all the resolutions, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
regarding the budget, I sent a pretty detailed email about what the preliminary budget now looks like at the $1.15 rate. So I just wanted to see if there's any questions now about that.
This is a new worksheet. We went from, I think it was 76 or 78 cents per thousand to $1.15. And that is strictly because of the needs to fund the county road, North Road project.
So
Not all.
we went up to 86
Would have been
cents.
86 without no.
86 cents for operational needs, for basic operational needs, or 87 cents, sorry.
I was just working from memory. So
Yep, and then $1, so from 87 cents to $1.15 is for the North Road.
Yep. And 76 was last year then, right?
Yes, current,
Yeah, this year,
2024.
Right.
So the basic operational needs that I identified in the tentative budget was 87 cents. North Road brings that up to $1.15. But that's the very high end, because that's based on, although unfortunately we'll have to probably use that number before we even know what then the interest rate on the bond will be. So,
Yeah.
but
When do we bring this up to the public?
Monday.
Monday's the hearing on the budget.
Monday's the public hearing on the budget. We're gonna have a short presentation. I don't know if we decided if MRV's gonna do it or if we're gonna do it, but a short synopsis of the project itself to explain the what's actually going on. And then there'll need to be eventually a referendum for the bond resolution itself.
I mean, we do have the options, so everybody's aware. With this, for the bond resolution, there are two things we could do. There's a permissive referendum. Where you have to get the signatures, it's on the public to get the signatures. There's also just do it by straight referendum where we hold a vote and then the public votes on it. It's an up or down vote. So those are the two options we have for this funding. Just so everybody's aware. With that bond, when we really decide to do it, we'd have that resolution, we'd have that permissive or regular referendum.
But you know, because of the way the timeline is, we have to get it into the budget
Yeah,
in order to be able to then proceed with the bond, so.
And the whole community votes on this.
the whole community would vote if it was a full vote.
And that could be held at any time.
That, can that be held at any time or just when we go to bond it, when we're borrowing the money?
I think
Well,
it's-
that's what I meant. though.
I think it's
There's no
associated with the
restriction.
bond resolution, yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to wait till November of next year.
No, if we can do it, yeah, whenever we're ready,
Yes,
we put out that we're having a resolution and we're doing that.
yeah,
Like the school one is December 3rd
Yeah.
for their project.
that answers. my
So I don't know what, to be honest, I don't know what would happen if it's voted down, because if we're already gonna be taxing on it.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess we'll have money for some other,
it would go in the, yeah,
Well-
it would go in the reserve fund.
yeah, and try again, maybe that's where we would start a capital project for it then.
That's the,
This project has to be done.
yeah,
So, having a straight referendum. We're elected to represent the
Yeah.
people, and use our experiences and everything to make those decisions. I would stick with the message, which is require somebody out there to hold the signatures with 5% of
Yeah.
registered voters in the town, and then forcing the town to have a permissive referendum. Just straight referendum. We're gonna push that out at least 6 months, 8 months into the future, so I mean, that's
So just talking about the process for the permissive referendum, so we have to go and get 5%.
not we,
we don't.
Someone does.
someone does. Yeah.
Is 5%?
I believe it's 5% of the
Voters.
people that voted in the previous governor's
Yeah,
race, 5%.
And those 5% are yeses?
no, that would
To
be
vote it
to put
down.
it up to a vote. So if
Oh.
there were people who
Vote
opposed it,
of the board.
no,
No.
so let's say there's resident X doesn't support the project. Goes out and gathers with friends enough signatures to force a permissive referendum. Then that vote goes to the entire public. It's an up or down vote.
Got it.
But it only happens after the signatures are gathered and they're presented and said, we're forcing a referendum on this project.
So we vote on it, and then if someone's not happy about that
Yeah.
vote, then they go out,
Then
they
they-
force the
yes.
permissive referendum.
There's a time period you have to wait.
Yep.
Before you can schedule it to be done. So give people that time to collect signatures.
Yeah. And so, you know, that's why it's important to get it into the budget so that we then can actually prepare for it, which then we'll probably do some, you know, some meetings. With people to present the project, really show the benefits of it and try to garner that support. But again, if, you know, comes down to it, we're already taxing for it to account for it. It's gonna be in the adopted budget before we get to any of that stuff. So I guess, you know, the fail safe would be then whatever we're getting is moving to a capital budget for that project anyway. And then we try again following year. So,
MRB will present the project from a more engineering standpoint. But we've discussed North Road for years.
yeah,
I believe the board believes we should do this. So that has to be part of that discussion one day, that this is something we recommend.
We've been working,
We have to-
yeah, we've been working on a public message. We've been gathering public safety information. We've been gathering information from the school district and from other involved parties with the project, explaining the significance and why it's important. And yes, there will be, rather than the technicalities of what the road's gonna look like, sidewalk, the movement, all that, it needs to be, this is the public benefit and the public need for this because of the significance of that road.
As far as the budget itself goes, we're gonna be putting something like this up on the screen to explain Monday night during public hearing, just what the budget is, what comprises the budget.
yeah, so this is what I was up on during the budget workshop as well. So you'll see the difference here. is that I added that second, or I added what the bond, first year estimated bond amount would be, and again, you know, that's based on a full bond payment for that first year, but there's still talk about whether we do bond or ban, but, and then on the second page, that $586,000 is basically split up into the debt principal and debt interest, which is where it would end up going for that project, but, and then the column after that, that's the preliminary budget, so the yellow column before the gray column is what was presented at the budget workshop for the tentative budget. And then now, based on the discussion during the budget workshop and adding in this project, that second yellow column is the preliminary budget. And then I created on the top chart to the right of the columns, those charts were there for the workshop, but then I added that one to the right that shows with the North Road project what the increases are compared to 2024 and the total tax levy between highway and general fund. And then I did the same on the second page. I got it. The first column was already there. That second 2024 versus 2025 expense line includes the North Road project now. And then the only other changes were that the 50,000 took out of Auburn Trail. That was really the only change from the tentative budget, other than adding in the North Road project. And I did change the formulas, or I did fix the formulas in the highway part to make those numbers add up more as far as what percentage was highway versus general fund. So that's now all correct. Figured out the issues with those formulas and got that fixed. But yes, I can certainly, for a public hearing, have this particular chart up, ready to kind of show. I don't know what sense people will make of it. But from this, what you guys have, the actual printed budget, the only difference, again, you're gonna see is that last column that has the preliminary budget column, the subtraction of the 50,000 for the Auburn Trail, and the addition of the debt, principal and interest in one of those last columns. And then obviously any year-to-date activity for this year is gonna be different from the last time I printed it.
So the big message if we were to adopt adopting it with North Road, looking at that taxpayer cost, we're looking at about $100 more, $106 more is that bottom line for the average homeowner. The average home parcel of $387,000. The average, with the proposed budget, the average tax paid to the town of Canandaigua $444, which is up $106 versus what it would be without that North Road project. That's the number that people are really gonna be looking at.
Are you saying the 149 number?
Yeah,
That's the difference between the tentative 25 and the North Road. So it's an additional 140.
No, sorry, so that's the difference between 2024 to the preliminary budget.
so that's 24, that's not the 20, that's not the
So
difference.
the 149.20 is compared to, the extra 149.20 is compared to the 295.07 in 2000.
Okay, I got you.
Same
Okay.
so the tentative,
I got you.
so the tentative is compared to 2024, the preliminary is compared to 2024.
So, but still, without North Road, they'd be paying $43 more per year.
With North
With
Road.
With North Road, it's $149. So by adding North Road, they're gonna cover another $106. So that's the cost of North Road, is $106 a year
Yeah, per
town, per resident.
Taxpayer.
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, per
Per taxable.
Per taxable
lot.
part, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, use our
And so I
assessors
guess
and your
my
technical
question-
words.
I guess my question for Monday would be, because we did do the more in-depth review of the budget during the budget workshop. The only difference is between then and now is just what I explained. So is there any need for me to go through during the public hearing the entire budget again to include the special districts, all our itemized things, basically everything that I did during the budget workshop, or just the
North Road.
changes between the tentative
Yeah.
and the preliminary.
Maybe a very short executive summary.
Just the high level.
2 sentences.
Yeah,
Yeah, high level, we don't need to, we don't need to get into the special districts, it's really, this is what the highway
Yeah.
budget is, this is what the fire amount is, this is what water is, this is what general operating
Yeah, I just
is.
didn't know if you had, because it's a public hearing now, if I had to go through
No.
everything I went through during the workshop
Mhm.
or not, so.
people might ask.
They might ask, we should be prepared to answer
I'll have
questions.
the chart, I'll have all the stuff ready
Yeah.
to go through. if
We should be
need.
prepared to answer questions, but we don't need to,
It should have been there during the budget.
yeah,
workshop.
we don't need to go into all the details, yeah.
I'll take-
All right, anybody have anything else? All right. well,
There
thank you
are a few
very-
residents that will.
all right,
question-
thank you very much.
Question every line by
Hey,
line. by-
are you, John, are you around? Hello? Yeah. I've got Jeff.
I think we do.
Official adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
We never called it, it's a staff meeting,
Oh, okay.
yeah.